Astral Pet Store. Chapter 16. Credit. Su Ping looked up, and came in an old man in tang suit, followed by a half-human bird and beast. The bird and beast had red feathers like an ostrich, and their small heads were drooping, and they seemed to be in a state of insanity. Su Ping's heart moved when he saw the bird and beast. "Boss, do you have any peculiar pets and beasts, the more fragrant ones?" Fan Shang saw Su Ping, who was very young behind the counter, stepped forward and asked. "Fragrant spoiling." Su Ping surprised, seeing the bird and beast's frustrated appearance, relieved, "Don't it like eating recently?" Fan Shang nodded, and said with some distress, "It started a few days ago, and suddenly it doesn't eat much. I don't know why. I sent it to the doctor and didn't diagnose anything." Su Ping said he understood that. He turned around and took a bottle of Yan Zhu Guo from the counter behind his back, saying, "It should be like this." Oh. Fan Shang saw that Su Ping was so confident, and took Yan Zhu Guo's eyes, then stared at him. "What kind of pet is this? I never seem to hear it." Su Ping also didn't know how to explain it. After all, he didn't know whether the nurturing plane that the system sent him existed in the past, or it still exists to this day. Perhaps it is an ancient thing. However, in any case, he believes in systematic judgment. "You can let it taste," Su Ping said. Fan Shang has also done a lot of research on pets and beasts, but he did not recognize what this thing is. However, he wanted to come to Su Ping as a regular pet shop. He should not sell anything that eats bad birds and beasts. He unscrewed the bottle cap. "Pour too gently from the inside." At the moment when the cap of his bottle was unscrewed, the flaming bird, who was originally looking down and frustrated, suddenly moved his feathers on his head, and then he looked up. Ha! Seeing the beast's reaction, Fan Shang was stunned and suddenly confident. He lowered his hands and sent 2 fruits to his mouth. The firebird quickly pecked its head and pecked in 2 fruits. As soon as it was eaten, it screamed happily, its short wings flapped happily, and its eyes turned to the whole bottle of fruit on the counter, radiating a blazing glow. Fan Shang was stunned, a little surprised. This little guy has been losing his appetite for several days, and now he is so excited to eat, not enough. Since it worked, Fan Shang didn't think much, and immediately said to Su Ping, "Boss, what kind of pet is this? Give me a few bottles first." Su Ping saw that the firebird was drooling, and he seemed to be unable to bear the initiative. He held the bottle quietly and moved it back to himself, saying, "This is Yan Zhu Guo, Chi Juni's favorite food. This is the bottle in the store, 130, and 34 inside. Are you all?" "Oh, a bottle of 130. Fan Shang thought about it, thinking that the price was still appropriate, and suddenly froze the next moment. 1 grain. Su Ping nodded. 1 grain. Fan Shang was stunned, facing Su Ping's 4 eyes. When he saw Su Ping's serious and calm gaze, he was sure that his ears had not been misheard. At this time, Yu Guang also saw other commodities behind the counter of Su Ping. When he saw their price, he was a little surprised. He didn't expect that the expensive one was not his own, and there were other more expensive ones. From this point of view, it is not that Su Ping's temporary price increase deliberately slaughtered him. "Is there anything special about you?" Fan Shang quickly recovered and asked curiously. Su Ping was a little surprised to see the other person's calm appearance, and said truthfully, "These effects of petting are different, but most of the effects have some help to improve the strength of the beast, and some have other benefits. It's not simply a pet, it's definitely worth the money." "Is it helpful for strength improvement?" Fan Shang was very interested and pointed to the most expensive, colorful Buddha heart leaf in it, saying, "This price is 20,000. What is the use of this thing?" "This can improve the understanding of the beast," Su Ping said. "Improve perception." Fan Shang froze for a moment, his eyes flickered slightly, and he quickly received it back, and said to Su Ping, "Give me 10 pieces of this rock Zuguo first, and wait for the food to come again." Su Ping is a little surprised. Has the order placed? So to say, he made money. Seeming to see the energy point beckoning towards himself, Su Ping felt a little turbulent, but showed that he was still very calm. He quickly calculated and said, "The price of 10 capsules is 1,300. Your Chiju bird just took 2 capsules. It's 260, for a total of 1,560. Fan Shang nodded slightly and crossed the money to Su Ping, asking, "How long can these 10 capsules be eaten?" Su Ping thought for a while and said, "If it's enough to fill it up, it won't necessarily be enough, but if you want to save a little, you can mix this rock fruit in other pets, so you can 10 meals for it." Fan Shang hadn't thought this thing was expensive. Now when he heard Su Ping say this, he suddenly felt a little bit of money. Although he is not short of money, he has a meal of 1,500. "Thank you, boss." Fan Shang turned and left the beast shop. When he went out, he looked back at the shop's signboard "CO Naughty." After sending away the guests, Su Ping immediately checked his account, and it was 1560. In terms of conversion, this is 15.6 energy. The mission he received to breed a beast only needs 10 energy to hatch a beast, that is to say, he has the ability to complete the mission. Fortunately, the breeding plane selected this time is not desolate. If you choose a ruined world, and there are no pets or plants in it, that is the beginning of blood collapse. Su Ping secretly rejoiced in his heart. Azure Bay Garden. A seemingly ordinary community, the buildings inside are also relatively old, some years. Fan Shang clasped his hands in both hands and was in a very good mood. He led the red cinnabar to the leisurely walk back to the community, met some old acquaintances along the way, took a pet or a spouse, and walked in the community park. Old virtue, come out and walk the silly bird again. You are walking your wife. BAH, you only walk your wife. Old German is still so old and unreasonable, go around. An old couple left quickly. After finishing talking with the old acquaintances, Fan Shang smiled and led Qi Jr. back to his small building, took out the key and opened the door. Come to the elevator inside, take the elevator to the 6th floor. He lives in 601. As soon as he opened the door, Fan Shang saw someone in the room. The most obvious evidence was that the stinky socks he had thrown at the door disappeared. There are thieves. Fan Shang did not panic, but was very calm. After changing his shoes off at the entrance, he turned to the living room and immediately saw 2 figures sitting in the living room. In addition, there was a smell of cooking in the kitchen. "Grandpa, you are back." 2 young figures on the sofa stood up quickly. One of the girls was lively and active. When she saw Fan Shang, her eyes lit up and she ran over with cheering. "Grandpa, we have been waiting for you for a long time." Fan Shang smiled and touched the girl's head. "How come you have time to play today?" "Isn't it like Grandpa?" The girl coquettishly. "Hey, just count your sweet lips." Fan Shang smiled. The young man standing honestly on the sofa said with a smile, "Grandpa, last time did you not say that your Chiju bird has no appetite recently? Don't you like to eat? I bought some firebirds and beasts in the team. Something specially sent to you today. Astral Pet Store. Chapter 17. This is a black shop. You are intentional." Fan Shang nodded. "Where? This is what grandchildren should do." The youth scratched his head and smiled. The girl smiled and hugged to the side of the living room, took out a metal box and waved to the red cinnabar. "Come on, fire, these are all for you." When she opened the box, she saw that there were more than a dozen kinds of pet foods, flowers, fruits and grass, and sealed insect jars, which were all favorite foods of birds and animals. Fan Shang glanced at him and turned to Qi Jr. behind him. "Little guy, come and see, someone will bring you something delicious." As a medium beast, the red cinnabar bird has a good sense of spirituality and has been lacking in interest. When Fan Shang spoke, he came over reluctantly. The probe looked at it twice, and then he turned his head and looked lazy. Lying on the ground, no interest. The girl was a little stunned, but I didn't expect that the red cuckoo bird didn't give face, so many foods could not even raise appetite. The youth next to him was also stunned, his expression a little awkward. Fan Shang didn't have much surprise. There were many pets inside. He had previously fed the red cinnabar bird, but none of them worked together. "Grandpa, won't you be sick of this bird?" The girl looked at the red zoo bird lying lazily on the ground and couldn't help it. Fan Shang raised his eyebrows slightly, and he did think so, but after seeing the red zoo bird eating happily in the beast shop, he thought it should be a food problem. It has a little appetite lately, the general food is not much eaten, it should be better after a while. Fan Shang said lightly, and walked to the side and sat down to rest. The youth next to him moved his eyes slightly and said, "Since this is the case, Grandpa might as well take it to Shangcheng district with us, where there is the best Xingchong hospital, and we can surely be optimistic about its problems, and if there are any problems in the future, we can also be timely. It's easy to solve everything. Fan Shang sneered, said, I have said it before, I will stay here and go nowhere. The youth's face changed slightly, and there was a slight silence, and he didn't speak again. Grandpa, even if you don't go, you have to think about the small fire. It has been so hunger strike for a few days. You can't watch it starve to death. The girl immediately saved the country from another angle. Persuade. When she heard this, Van Sunder suddenly raised her eyebrows, inexplicably somewhat proud, and said, It will not be a hunger strike. Today I have taken it to buy delicious food. It just refuses to eat what you brought. Ordinary spoiling doesn't mean it doesn't eat anything else. When the young man heard it, he was a little speechless. What he brought was ordinary pet. Everything here is very precious pet food, okay. Did you buy it for eating? The girl was surprised, her face grotesque. Will it eat other pets? Of course. Fan Shang smiled. I don't believe it. Fan Xiaoyu looked suspicious, thinking that this was an excuse that Grandpa deliberately found. After all these years, Grandpa didn't know how many weird excuses for not going to live with them in Shangcheng district. The young man Fan Yujing next to him was also puzzled. Fan Shang raised his eyebrows, reached for the vial in his pocket, unscrewed the bottle, and poured out one. Come. Fan Shang greeted Qi Junior. In fact, when he unscrewed the bottle, Akatsuki turned his head. A fruit is thrown. Qi Jr. immediately caught his mouth and swallowed it quickly. Seeing this scene, the brothers and sisters were a bit stunned. Soon, Fan Xiaoyu came back to her, and she was a little unbelievable. It must have been on the ground without causing appetite for Xiaohuo. It was the wrong way for me to feed. After she finished, she took some flowers and fruits from the box and greeted, Small fire, come. Qi Jr. looked over. A flower and fruit hit its face. Fan Xiaoyu. Seeing that the hair was slightly erected, there were some hairy red cuckoo birds, and Fan Xiaoyu was so sweaty that he dared not try again. Now you believe it, Fan Shang said with a smile and a smug face. Fan Xiaoyu looked at him, a little speechless, knowing that this opportunity to take advantage of Xiao Huo would not succeed. Grandpa, what kind of darling is this? How have I never seen it? Where did you come from? Fan Yujing looked carefully at the fruit in his hand, and he was a little puzzled. No, but I have never seen this kind of bird and beast fruit. Fan Shang smiled and said, I bought it at a beast shop nearby. What is Yan Juguo? Yan Juguo. Fan Xiaoyu chewed the name a bit, and she learned the domineering reserve knowledge, but she couldn't find any relevant information. She couldn't help wondering, never heard of this fruit, this thing can be eaten well, don't be anything bad. Fan Yujing nodded. Yes, there are some unscrupulous pet shop, selling some weeds as pets to sell. This kind of thing is strictly caught in Shangcheng district, but it is not so tight here, Grandpa. Don't buy anything unknown, it will hurt the fire. Okay. Hearing their words, Van Sant immediately felt a tight heart. Qi Jr. is his treasure and has extraordinary significance to him. If something goes wrong, he can't imagine it. This, I shouldn't know very well. I bought it in a regular beast shop. They have a business license. Fan Shang felt a little nervous, but his expression remained calm. Fan Xiaoyu thought, I heard that some black shops will use some special chemicals to mix in pets, so that the pets they sell are more delicious and delicious, so that the pets can't stop eating. Once they don't eat, crazy, but if you eat for a long time, the pet will eventually die suddenly, or something serious will happen. Fan Shang was stunned. He also watched some of these reports on TV, and his heart suddenly clenched. Yes, these pets I brought are basically the favorite food of the firebirds and beasts, but the small fire does not look at it, but I am interested in this grandfather you give, this is too strange. Fan Yu Wenjing listened to her sister's words, the smile on her face was gone, and a fierce color replaced her. By Grandpa, how much did you buy this thing? Fan Xiaoyu suddenly asked. Fan Shang was startled, subconsciously said, 1,500. 1,000 and 5,000 bottles. Fan Xiaoyu was stunned, and her pretty face instantly became cold. This is not Shangcheng district. How can there be such an expensive pet? This is definitely a black shop. Grandpa, where is this store, and what's its name? Fan Yujing asked directly. Call it Naughty. Astral Pet Store. Chapter 18. Give Birth to King Beast. Inside a petty pet shop. Su Ping, who had just earned energy, waited for the old man to leave and immediately returned to the chaotic breeding pool behind the pet shop. I don't know what kind of star pet will breed. Su Ping is a bit expectant and nervous. The more precious and rare the star pet is, the higher the price he rents out. This is a lot of income. The system prompts. Chaos Incubation Spirit Pool is currently in the first-class state, and every time of inoculation, Chaos Breath, can be imported into 1/10000000th of a million, is it activated. Chaos. What is this? Su Ping was surprised. The gas of chaos is the most primitive energy in the universe and the beginning of all things. The system explains some mystery. Su Ping seemed to understand, and frowned, but, even if it is the source energy, only 1 part per billion is introduced every time. Is this too stupid? The host can upgrade the spirit pool on its own. The system said indifferently. Su Ping's mind immediately jumped out of the requirements for the upgrade of the spirit pool, and the functions of the spirit pools of different levels. It is currently a level 1 chaotic spirit pool. If you upgrade to level 2, you need 100 points of energy, and the introduced chaotic aura will be increased to 1/10 millionth, which can give birth to stars of higher bloodlines. To reach the level 3 chaotic spirit pool, it requires 10,000 points of energy. The chaotic gas introduced will be raised to 1 in a million. It has a lower probability to breed a star pet of the king beast blood. To reach level 4, it requires 1 million energy. The chaotic gas introduced is 1 in 100,000. There is a higher probability to breed a king beast lineage star pet, and a very low probability to breed a more powerful star pet. In the back there are 5 levels, 6 levels, up to the highest level 9. 9 levels of chaotic spirit pool can introduce a lot of chaotic gas, bred monster ancestors, ancient gods and demons. Seeing the introduction later, Su Ping was a little dazed. Sage God. The ancestor of the monster. Just listening to the name, you can feel its powerful horror. Such a creature is probably more terrible than the legendary star pets in the Federal Star Pets. Anyone is a world of destruction. Can this be regarded as a star pet? Seeing the energy points needed to reach level 9, Su Ping dizzy for a while, knowing that this is something that he doesn't need to consider at the moment, and currently wanting to upgrade to level 3 is extremely remote for him. Moreover, the level 3 Chaos Spirit Pool, the effect has been extremely scary. Just introducing a millionth of chaos, there is a chance to breed a star pet of the King Beast blood. What is the King Beast lineage? As soon as he reaches adulthood, he has the strength of a King Beast. No matter how bad your qualifications or perceptions are, as long as you are an adult, your strength will reach the level of the King Beast. The only difference is that the position ranked in the King Beast is high or low. The bloodline here does not refer to a certain beast. It has the ability to compare with the blood of the King Beast. Most of the star pets that contain the blood of the King Beast are hybrids. The blood veins contained are very few and incomplete. Think it is almost impossible to evolve into a King Beast. Bringing the King Beast. Looking at the small dry well-like chaotic spirit pool in front of him, Su Ping has some dry tongues, but the King Beast is rampant monster on the whole land. It is extremely difficult to tame. Each one is extremely fierce and terrifying. If he can breed come out one, then what bicycle? Just step into the sky. After being excited for a long time, Su Ping finally calmed down slowly. At present, he can only use this level 1 chaotic spirit pool. Fortunately, even the level 1 spirit pool, the effect is extremely powerful, and it has a low probability to breed a star of middle blood. A pet of medium descent star starts at least 100,000 yuan in the Federation. Start Lingqi. Su Ping looked at the energy point of 15.6 and gritted his teeth, devoting energy. -10 energy. The dry well-like chaotic spirit pool absorbing energy suddenly glowed with glory. A dark black light flashed slightly, but disappeared in a blink of an eye, and everything returned to calm again. Click. There seems to be something falling apart. Su Ping looked in amazement. I saw the edge of the chaotic spirit pool crawling out of a small grayish-white skeleton, only about 20 centimeters tall, to the knee of the person. After struggling out of the spirit pool, it fell to the ground and fell apart. Demon skeleton. Su Ping was dumbfounded. The demon is an extremely popular fighting pet, and its abilities are extremely fierce. It is loved by the war pet master, but the small skull. This is the lowest beast of the devil. Su Ping also expects to win a prize to breed a beast with a medium bloodline. As a result, instead of having a medium bloodline, it is still the existence of the lowest rank among low-level beasts. Although he wanted to cry without tears, Su Ping still took the chance and lost an appraisal technique. Small skull. Attribute: Demon beast. Level: First order subordinate. Combat strength: 1.1. Qualification: Inferior. Ability to control: Reorganization of broken limbs. Normal to almost exploded panel. Su Ping was about to cry. Ding! The host's gestation task is completed, and a random book of skills of the pet master is obtained. The system prompts. Su Ping came back to his mind, only to think that there was a task reward. The frustrated mood suddenly felt a little bit better. Big deal. Just use this little skull for brushing tasks. Where is the skill book? In the storage space of the host. Su Ping immediately entered the storage space to check. There really was a light blue skill book inside. Basic tactician skill, killing intention. Su Ping froze. Was it actually killing intention? This seems to be a relatively rare skill of the pet bat master. The skills mastered by general pet masters are first of all the 4 skills of increase, which are increase in strength, increase in blast, solid increase, and increase in perception. These 4 skills are also essential for all pet masters. It only takes a lot of time to learn these 4 skills of increasing amplitude. In addition, other tactics of pets have special effects. For example, his killing intention skill book is able to arouse the beast's killing heart through the power of the contract, fall into a violent state, and become fearless. Even if the pet is extremely injured, it can still be intrepid dead crazy attack. It can be said that this is an extremely aggressive pet warrior skill, and it has a wonderful effect when facing some deterrent pets. This seems to be a very difficult skill for tactical pet masters. Generally, tactical pet masters under tier the 4th of may not be able to learn. Su Ping was somewhat surprised. Although the bred beasts had failed, the rewards were good, but he is not a pet strategist yet, so he cannot use it. Click, click. At this moment, the broken small skull by the chaotic spirit pool climbed up again, and stumbled towards Su Ping, staring blankly at him with a hollow eye socket, a little woody. Su Ping smiled bitterly, picked it up, took it back to the front desk, and asked the system, "How much is this little skeleton rented out?" Pets, small skulls, rental fee, 1 yuan per hour. 1 piece. The corner of Su Ping's mouth twitched slightly. This is still the rented price, and whether it can be rented is a problem. After all, who would rent a first-order inferior skeleton to fight? When Su Ping smiled bitterly, several footsteps suddenly came from outside. At the next moment, the shop door was suddenly pushed open, and 2 figures rushed into the shop. Su Ping froze for a moment, and received the small skull in his hand on the chair next to him. He looked at the men and women who were rushing violently, wondering, what are the 2 black merchants? You honestly tell me, what's added to the pet food you sell? The youth's eyes said coldly. The coma is Fan Yujing and his sister Fan Xiaoyu. After asking for the address from Grandpa's mouth, the 2 quickly rushed over. Su Ping froze slightly, frowning. I can't understand what you are saying, and, are you my guests? Do I know you? He flipped through the memory of the original owner, and he did not remember seeing the 2 of them. I advise you not to be hard-mouthed, otherwise you will not be able to walk around with the consequences. Fan Yujing glanced, coldly said, you just sold it to an old man's pet. What is Yan Juguo? What is mixed in it? Thing. Yes. Fan Xiaoyu said coldly with his hands on his hips. Su Ping suddenly remembered Yan Juguo, and at a glance at the posture of the 2, they immediately understood. The 2 suspected that I was doing improper hand and foot in petting. Su Ping's face cooled down. This was all taken by his life, and was actually questioned. Suddenly, the prompt of the system suddenly sounded in his mind. The system that was always indifferent was extremely cold at the moment, and there was also a feeling of anger. Temporary task. The store has been unjustly slandered. Please host self-certified innocence, prove that there is no problem with petting, and maintain the reputation of the store without any loss. Mission success rewards. 1 chance to enter the plane at random, and unlimited deaths. The entry time is 5 days. Failed mission. 10 points deduction for host score. Okay. Su Ping was shocked. There are still temporary tasks. And this task reward is actually arbitrarily nurturing the plane and unlimited deaths. Su Ping didn't know how to cherish it until he regretted it later. I didn't expect to have the opportunity to get this kind of treatment again now. This is an opportunity to easily cultivate a low-level pet animal into a super pet animal. Astral Pet Store. Chapter 19. Break Your Arm. When Su Ping received the task excitement, Fan Xiaoyu slapped it on the counter with a slap in his face. If you sell something okay, how can you let a pet animal with a loss of appetite keep eating? You better to be honest. Account? Su Ping recovered, seeing the hand clapped on the counter. His eyebrows flicked slightly, and a chill appeared in his dark eyes, but he restrained it. The two in front of him are obviously darlings, and he is not an opponent at all. The host doesn't have to worry. In this shop, nothing can threaten your life. The killer will be wiped out against you, even if the ancient demon comes. The cold words of the system sounded, revealing an absolutely powerful confidence. Su Ping stunned for a moment, but did not expect that the pet shop has such a capability. Does this mean that this shop is his strongest refuge? With a systematic guarantee, Su Ping's concerns were also much less. He looked at the two indifferently and said, "You said that there is something wrong in my pet, but is there evidence?" Evidence. Fan Yujing's eyes were cold, and he said, "What I said is evidence. Do you believe me or not? I will immediately let the petting association come over to check and let your black shop close." Su Ping frowned slightly. He is not afraid of the inspection of the Beast Association. After all, he collects natural pet food, no problem. However, if it is checked by the Pampering Association, the procedure is very cumbersome. It will inevitably affect his business, and will also damage the reputation of the store, which is extremely disadvantageous for him to complete the system task. Brother, look at it, this is a black shop. At this time, Fan Xiaoyu noticed many pets on the counter behind Su Ping, and when he saw the price below, he exclaimed suddenly. Fan Yujing's eyes swept, his face suddenly gloomy. I didn't expect that in this outer city area. The black shop was so arrogant, and it really was a place without kingship control. Ah. Su Ping sneered, is it expensive to be a black shop? Don't buy it if you can't afford it, and run over to slanders others if you can't afford it. All the things I sell are cheap and good, and it's absolutely fair. Can't afford it? Fan Xiaoyu was smirked. Even if the price is 10 times more expensive, it is just a casual consumption for them, even saying they can't afford it. Moreover, this price is more than 10 times more expensive than ordinary pets, but there is still a face that is said to be good quality and low price. For a penny and a penny, I want to know, what can you do if you sell 20,000 yuan? Can you live forever after eating it? Fan Xiaoyu smiled angrily. Su Ping said indifferently, only 20,000 people want to live forever, and you are afraid to eat farts. You. Fan Xiaoyu's eyes widened, and he immediately said furiously, you say it again. Isn't it? Su Ping shrugged. Insult my sister, you're looking for death. Fan Yujing's eyes were cold and he shot suddenly, 5 fingers snapped to Su Ping's neck and lightning. But at this moment, suddenly a very dangerous feeling came to mind. Fan Yujing couldn't allow it to think, and suddenly clicked. His arm seemed to be under some kind of oppression, and it suddenly broke out from his elbow and his bones shattered. The pain suddenly hit. Fan Yujing hissed in cold air, quickly retreated a few steps, distanced from Su Ping. Brother. All these changes were too fast. Fan Xiaoyu, who was angry, only saw his brother trying to teach the other party, but suddenly he stepped back, as if hit by something. Fan Xiaoyu was shocked when she saw Fan Yujing's broken arm. What kind of character was her brother? The strongest pet strategist who had already graduated into the team had far better strength than her. Was her arm abandoned at this moment? Su Ping was a little surprised when he saw this scene, and he was quietly relieved in his heart. If it weren't for the sake of not killing you, this time it wasn't just an arm. Su Ping sneered. He is also a person who has died hundreds of times in the nurturing plane, and he is extremely sensitive to killing intentions. Previously, Fan Yujing just wanted to educate him and did not kill, so the systematic punishment was not serious. You shot it. Fan Xiaoyu turned back and looked at Su Ping with some shock. It's easy to break her brother's arm. And looking at Su Ping, he is younger than her brother in the early 20s. Does this mean that Su Ping is more talented than her brother? Fan Yujing is also a person who has experienced countless hard struggles. Although his arms were broken and the pain was extremely painful, he still gritted his teeth. The shock in his eyes was better than Fan Xiaoyu. The sense of danger in the previous moment was still like a pin it's hard to erase. He has no doubt that he just walked in front of the ghost gate. Who the hell are you? Fan Yujing took a deep breath. His eyes were dignified, he could easily put his arm away, and he was younger than him. Such a person is definitely a genius, compared to the dazzling geniuses in the Federation. The characters are not inferior, and will never be an unknown person. As you can see, it's just an ordinary person, the owner of a beast shop. Su Ping said indifferently, now, I think we can communicate on an equal basis. Fan Yujing's face changed, and his voice was low. We have no intention of offending. It's just a matter of loved ones, so we're anxious. Hee. Su Ping chuckled. But my heart is sighing. Sure enough, you have the power to have the right to speak, otherwise people simply don't bother to listen to your explanation. The fist is justified, even if the words are wrong. Don't you just ask me, is there any use for this? Su Ping said indifferently, this thing is called colorful Buddha's heart leaf, which is regarded as a kind of pet, but it is a one-time pet. The only effect is to be able to inspire the beast's spirituality enhances the pet's understanding. Ling. Fan Yujing heard his face change. Of the things that can enlighten the spirit, which one does not start at a price of 100,000? Actually only sell 20,000 here. Fan Xiaoyu, who helped his brother, was also stunned. Unexpectedly, this flowery plant was actually a treasure of killing. What level of beasts can these colorful Buddha heart leaves inspire? Fan Yujing questioned. At this moment, he did not regard the owner of this shop as a general blackheart businessman. I would like to ask which blackheart businessman could interrupt his arm without knowing it. Su Ping shrugged. Everything under the king beast works. Ah. The brother and sister were dumbfounded. Useful under the king beast. Doesn't this mean that a beast stronger than the ninth order can also be useful? What is the concept of a treasure that can enlighten the ninth order beast? Not to mention 100,000, it can't be bought by millions. For a time, the two brothers and sisters looked at Su Ping's eyes a little weird. To say that this person is a liar, the strength is too strong, such strength is not necessary to be a liar. But it is not a liar. Who would be so stupid to sell such top-level treasures for only 20,000? Seeing the bizarre eyes of these two brothers and sisters, Su Ping slightly twitched, and he was very sad. Why did he not know that the price of 20,000 is completely the price of cabbage, which means that the price is reasonable? Astral Pet Store. Chapter 20. Advanced. I said earlier, the shop is good and cheap, absolutely fair. Su Ping said expressionlessly. The brother and sister were slightly dumb. To be really, as Su Ping said, this is more than good quality and low price. It's a bargain. The brothers and sisters looked at each other. Although they were a little shocked by Su Ping's strength, this matter was still a little mysterious. Su Ping saw that the two did not believe and frowned slightly. He suddenly thought of something, and said indifferently, if the two don't believe, I have something here that can verify the two's guesses. What is it? Fan Xiaoyu wondered. Su Ping took out a transparent glass bottle from behind the counter with 2 blue fruits in it. He said, this is Thiblu Yuanguo, a low-grade spirit fruit, and it is a favorite food of high-water pets. It can be taken for a long time. Strengthen the ability of higher water pets. If it is for lower water pets, you can directly advance to the first order. Direct promotion to first order. The two were surprised. The things that can be directly promoted to the higher ranks are extremely expensive, even if they are only advanced ones for lower-level beasts. Lan Yuanguo can only be taken by pets of Tier 1 to Tier 3, and it is only effective for the first time, and the price is 8,700. Su Ping said indifferently, if the two can bring inferior water pets, you will know by experience. True and false. Only sell 8,700. The brothers and sisters were again speechless by the cabbage price. But the thought of the colorful Buddha heart leaves in front of him quickly relieved. Is it a low-level water beast? I don't have to buy it elsewhere. I brought one. Fan Xiaoyu turned his eyes and said to Su Ping, Boss, can I try now? Su Ping raised an eyebrow, of course. It is good. Fan Xiaoyu saw her. Her whole body was floating, and she raised her hand and grabbed it from space. As a twisted vortex emerged, a light blue figure jumped out and landed on her shoulder. This is a small beast with a big fist, with light blue spots on the body, like a water polo, only a huge head in the whole body, limbs are extremely short, almost invisible. Water spray beast. Su Ping saw this little guy and immediately recognized it as a first-order beast of the water system. It is extremely common and very common. It is almost every household. Although it is a first-order beast, the combat effectiveness is almost negligible, but the water-spraying beast is deeply loved by people because it can spray a stream of water without attack, helping people save some household water to a great extent. Moreover, for many adventurers, if they want to wash their hands, drink water, or clean their bodies when they go out, they can let the water spray beasts take action, which is equivalent to carrying a small water source with them. Boss, is this okay? Fan Xiaoyu held the water spray beast to Su Ping. Su Ping said indifferently, of course, but you have to pay Lan Yuanguo's money first. Ah. Fan Xiaoyu hesitated. Fan Yujing came over at this time, took out a card, and gave the money to Su Ping. Boss, please start. Su Ping heard the wonderful reminder of entering the account. A smile appeared slightly on the indifferent face. He opened the bottle and took out a blue yuan fruit from the inside. This is the favorite of his shop. The price is second only to the colorful Buddha heart leaf. Small thing. Come. Su Ping handed the fruit to the sprinkler. The water spray beast already smelled the fragrance of Lan Yuanguo, and when Su Ping handed it in, he didn't even ask its owner, so he couldn't wait to open his mouth to bite. The fruit of the big thumb was stuffed into the mouth, and the sprinkler's mouth seemed to bulge a ball, but it soon disappeared and was swallowed by it. 3 pairs of eyes were fixed on the sprinkler, waiting for its reaction. Su Ping thought it needed some time to digest, but did not expect that within 3 minutes, the sprinkler would have changed. I saw the light blue spots on the sprinkler, which suddenly flowed like a liquid, and then its entire body swelled slightly. This expansion caused the water-spraying animal to feel pain, its body rolling back and forth on the counter, spraying water arrows from time to time during the tumbling. Su Ping raised his hand to block and found that the water arrow shot in the palm of his hand. Whoa! Suddenly, a thicker water arrow blasted over. Su Ping was too late to block, but at the next moment, the water arrow was resisted like touching an invisible barrier. On the other side, Fan Xiaoyu had realized what he was after. The water-spraying beast shot an offensive water arrow, quickly opened a star shield, and enveloped her and her brother in it. The water arrow shot on the star shield and rippled. Her star shield had a higher level and could easily resist. After a while, the body of the water-spraying animal gradually stopped rolling, and at this time its body was already huge, and its originally invisible limbs were also exposed at this moment. Although it is still very short, it has been able to stand firm with its limbs. 2. Really advanced. Fan Xiaoyu opened his eyes wide. As a very popular beast, the water spray beast is what it looks like from the first to the third order, even if it can be recognized by children of 7 or 8 years old. Fan Yujing's eyes flashed with surprise, but he didn't expect that Lan Yuanguo was really a jin order thing. Although it is limited to low-level beasts, it is also very rare. Successful. Su Ping was relieved when he saw the result, and then said to the two, "Do you have any questions?" The brother and sister recovered and looked at each other with a slightly complicated expression. Sorry, we offended before. Fan Yujing resisted the pain in his broken arm and gritted his teeth slightly. Fan Xiaoyu's complexion fluctuated, and eventually it was the default. They know that people who can sell things of advanced ranks and suspected treasures of enlightenment will never be black merchants. It can be seen that the fruit that the other party sold to their grandfather is not an ordinary thing, so they will let the red Bizuzu loves it. Okay. Su Ping nodded and accepted the apology as a matter of course. Although at present, it is the other party who suffers the loss, but if there is no systematic shelter, the dumb eater of Wenglian may be himself at this moment. After all, with the other party's previous strong attitude, it is basically he will not listen to his explanation. After a brief silence, the atmosphere was awkward. Fan Xiaoyu hesitated after seeing the colorful Buddha heart leaf beside him, and asked, "Boss, is this really effective?" Su Ping raised a brow, still questioning. He didn't look good. I've already introduced it, and I won't repeat it again. Fan Xiaoyu saw that he had misunderstood, and he had to explain it quickly. At this time, Fan Yujing suddenly shot and directly gave the money to Su Ping. He said, "We bought this. No amount of explanation is worse than buying." Fan Yujing felt that it would be worthwhile to spend 20,000 yuan to verify it. If it is true, it will make a lot of money. Even if it is a fake, for him, 20,000 is nothing. If you go out for a pioneering trip, you will be able to earn it 10 times and 100 times. Seeing his brother's actions, Fan Xiaoyu froze for a moment, but soon understood that she didn't say much, but she always felt a little unwilling in her heart.